because he's already starting to become so far behind in points, he needs to really catch up.
Well, something that can give you just that variance is trainer golems, everybody. So that's what we just entered, a lobby that is going to be mostly determined by what players got on their rolls and what other players got. So how many of these lines are actually
Cantor as well.
Yep.
You all see Incantor Shapeshifter, I see a Warrior plus.
No, I literally didn't even notice that was there. I'm not gonna lie, I saw the other two. Hunter here for Dank Memes.
With Frost as well.
Yeah, with Frost. That could be some kind of vertical Frost angle. We have seen that come out in the Golden Spatulas in multiple regions. Not that much, but the potential for it is there, and I think this is exactly that line where you can see it.
The most impressive part of trainer golems are the players who have these less obvious lines, because I think but to many people it feels like I lost the game at 1-1, right? But at the top level, these players have to be able to perform. They have to be able to come up with the creative lines. And we saw it last game where under certain restrictions, you can see creativity sort of breed. This is another one of those situations where when you are forced under the microscope, given these strange resources outside of your control, sometimes we see some lines that we never would see otherwise.
Strong augment just saw pop up. There was a 2-tanky option for SCSC. Witchy Wallop as well on the bottom there for Black Sheep. Curious if that is a pickup.
Yeah.
I imagine it does synergize with his trainer golem. Could be what he needed to really come back into this tournament.
Something that's always an option when you have gold augments as well as trainer golems is there a wandering trainer? Are we going to see the double trouble by any of these players to maybe open up or even lock in lines? Doesn't seem like any of these have come on through just yet.
Also, talking about the condition that Black Sheep needs to advance in this tournament still, right, Witchy Wallop has a really, really good first place rate, so very, very big pickup there.
SCSC is
Oh, deja vu. Galio reroll with the Mage +1. I love it. It's a hero augment we don't see as often. We did see it a few times in different regional finals, so it's definitely still in the meta under the right conditions.
I love this spot actually. Being able to play the Deja Vu line when you have the Mage +1 makes your level 5, level 6 board way easier to play.
Have we realized Kubixon's trainer golem? Because if someone asked me, considering my experience on a certain reroll line, what my #1 trainer golem would be out of all possible combinations, it would be the one Kubixon has. He's smiling, he's laughing. You can understand why the moment this loads up, because there is no better synergy for this multi-striker line.
Wait, that's crazy. Usually you see like 2 good pairings, but not all 3 there like this. That is a high roll and a half.
Man, if he did not have that rod, this would be the biggest Neela angle I've ever seen. I'm just saying. I'll leave it there. I'm done, I promise.
Are you sure?
I'm actually,
Do you need to take like a break? It's okay.
I got it out of my system.
Okay.
No, we're good.
No, he lied to all of our faces here, saying he said it's going to come back up before end of day, I promise.
So I've just kind of been taking stock of the lobby to see what's going on. We've been getting a couple of Arcanas onto the trainer golems, which is usually something you're not too mad about since that's easy to flag in. Then we do have at least 2 warrior options. I don't think we're going to go for that, but a couple of players are currently trying to get a loss streak going despite a trainer golem being on their field, so we'll see how that goes.
And Black Sheep ideally does want to lose a few rounds here, considering he's playing for that 1-cost reroll, going to have a heavy roll down on 3-1, but also he needs to try and find a BF sword in this carousel to get the BT online. I wonder what the stage 3 augment will be. There are certain combinations with Witchy Wallop Poppy that really enable her to become an unkillable demon when it comes to finding something like a Prowler's Claw, for example. I won't spoil what exactly it entails because I think it's better to see visually. But let's, fingers crossed we see some kind of artifact option on 3-2.
I want to call out Han Qing's trainer golem on the other side there. And this is the making of a very high cap board. Scholar, Arcana, and the Vanguard to get you there. It's the perfect bridge golem that you can get where you have a super high cap where you can play around 6 Scholar and something like the Zareth, for instance. And then if you get because you have the Arcana emblem, you get additional damage amp because you have the additional emblems already.
Yeah, and China as a region is already really, really practiced on playing for those very high caps, right? Just with the format, already having that experience with the checkmate. So they're going to know how to convert these situations so much better on average than the other regions.
Well, with that carousel coming in, we're seeing everything that's going on in the lobby, and it is confirming that 60-second and Action both were trying to open fort for as long as possible. Both of them do have 3 losses thus far. And we also have 2 hero augments in Witchy Wallops and Deja Vu. Rest of the players trying to go for something that brings them a little bit more board strength, and we'll see what comes out of all of our trainer golems.
I actually like this from Black Sheep, not going for BF sword instead of tier, trying to look at the Ari items and saying, hey, I don't want to have extra BF swords usually. I'll get one eventually from one of the TV rounds. I'm losing now anyway. I might as well just wait until Krugs to try and find my components.
Dank Memes, I think one of those players that actually, other people have to cook a little bit. They got to think pretty hard to see exactly where they're going. Dank Memes feels like he's kind of on the rails already. It feels good to load in that way.
Yeah, Maris with this vertical Witchcraft looking line, right? Maybe just for the early game, you don't have to fully commit to Witchcraft, but it can be one of the comps, especially if you can get that 8 Witchcraft online, can still win lobbies very effectively.
And it will be a little bit under that 9 Fairy, that 10 Portal, obviously as a vertical, but still one of those verticals that when it's online, only very high cap boards can beat it.
Well, there's 2 players with that Witchcraft emblem, and they're going head-to-head right now in Black Sheep and Maris. And with that Witchy Wallops, that would be really great if you were able to maybe tag in some extra Witchcraft, since you're running that Poppy as a commitment anyway. So we'll see who can maybe get yet another emblem to make that dream get online. Achen and 60 Seconds still both on the lost streak. We'll see if they meet.
Yeah, it looks like at this point, Achen not, committing to no longer play for the open fort. I don't know if they played each other already, and so they're, both satisfied with their 4 loss will continue. I think Achen knows he'll probably lose to everybody else. The other thing is, there's always the opportunity for the fast sell at the very end if Achen hasn't actually played 60 seconds yet.
And for
Just to take a
Hansheng,
look.
the only player on the win streak, mentoring his units, boosting their morale, trying to get that 5 win going into Krugs, will be Maris versus just a poor, lonely golem, all by itself. 60 second guaranteeing the 5 loss.
So something that you saw 60 Second do there that I just really want to call out for players that are maybe interested in learning how to open fort is the extra gold he had above 50 he already used to buy some of those units out, because Krugs are coming and Krugs can beat you up. So really a heads up play here, of course, more for the beginners that are watching, but it is a good call out to kind of mention that trying to get a board online for that doesn't look most fraudulent can be a good idea.
Seeing some pro players even lose to Krugs in their day,
yeah.
so definitely something everyone should listen to.
One of the players that I think has to pray that he gets the right components here is going to be Chen. You're on a loss streak. You're playing into a scaling Syndra that needs to find the right components, like the Nashor, like the Shojin early on, to scale into that very powerful version of the unit in the late game. We'll see if that's going to be the case. A glove right now could build into JG. A Syndra from the orb is great, but you really do want to start finding at least 1 tier here.
We'll have to check back with Achen in a little bit.
There's a BT Poppy for Black Sheep.
Black
The
Sheep.
master plan working to perfection.
Question here is how far do you roll down? There's a couple different schools of thought. Some
You're
people,
close enough to Poppy here. I think you want to hit.
Some people like to go down to 40, down to that 32 magic number. There's some players, though, that if they want to just try and snap their streak right now and start winning, could potentially even just full send it. Depends really how close you get and how close you are to the rest of your 1 cost as well.
I think if Black Sheep maybe hit 1 more Poppy during that roll down, would continue to go further, but actually it's going further regardless. Could still sell back up to 30 here, and will do just that. But yeah, around that kind of 30 magic number, I see most people trend towards. It's still going to be okay to win some rounds perhaps in stage 3, even with just Poppy 2.
I feel like the 30 has kind of been, I don't want to say neglected, but
Less
has
popular.
been
Yeah,
been less popularized. A lot of players holding on to like 40 or even sometimes 50 for some of these lower cost rerolls, saying, okay, I'm just going to need to hit it more efficiently because of how important the late game caps are. And sometimes you cannot get here. Here, of course, with the hero augments, I think the story is a little bit of a different one, saying you're really playing to this out,
Prismatics.
as we are getting prismatics here. And we are seeing some of these being instantaneously
What the Forge,
up.
top right. What the Forge, definitely one of the ones that can have a high cap here.
No Prismatic for Black Sheep just yet. Maybe to try and go for that Hail Mary Prowler Skull on the Poppy. Still a few rolls to go through here. I do want to mention for SCSC, a player that we just saw winning there with the Galio reroll,
Hey,
No rage
you
bait
were-
yet for Galio.
You were talking about Kubixen's trainer golem, isn't it? Do you know what he just found? He just found a multi-striker crown.
Could we see the
you
mythical
go.
9 multi-striker?
We might just do that.
That's
My dream would be a multi-striker smolder. But we'll
Interesting.
see if that'll be the case. It's just a beautiful sight.
Man can dream.
Radiant Rage
on the
Blade
opposite
here.
side, if you want to take a look.
Radiant Rage Blade from SCSC on that Galio.
And I was
This-
just mentioning it's a big
power.
fix because my worry was you can sometimes not find a single rage bait on Galio. Your game is over. There is no way to save that when you're committing to this deja vu. He had also a lot of HP to work with, would not be first pick on this next carousel, would not have priority to find that bow that he needed, but now he's fixed that problem.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel like a super strong board at this point, though. Having the Galio is really nice, but we see it here. You know, if there are other players in the lobby who are trying to stabilize on 3-2, and especially any players that have front-loaded damage, right, who are able to do a lot of to get through the vanguards early enough, then the Galio doesn't have enough time to ramp. Multi-strikers, for that reason, are very strong into Galio because of how much front-loaded damage they have at the start of the fight.
Ooh, Odd Chen here, getting Spellcaster's Toolbox, getting the Mana Zane for the Syndra is exactly what Odd Chen needed to get these Syndra stacks online and scale into this late game. 6 Shapeshifters too, so that Syndra's going to have so much time being built already, as Black Sheep did hit Poppy 3 as well over here.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy that we hit it with 30 gold still to work with. There was a kind of deep grab into the pockets, but at least it's online now. Question is, can it hold true? Can it carry you enough? Only has 2, not 3 items just yet, and you can just see how much damage that Poppy is taking, and I'm not even sure if it can hold this fight. Doesn't look like it, and that is bad news for Black Sheep.
Something that's worth mentioning, traditionally with one-cost reroll comps, you're not trying to play for a win out, and that's typically amplified when you have prismatic augments coming through because everybody else's cap can get much, much higher. Ahri is a comp that we've seen as a win out angle, but to me, at least the state of the game right now, it feels like that's not an option for Black Sheep.
The tier, only a single one has been taken. No blue buff for Black Sheep as well. He was second pick. Unfortunate, considering you are trying to now build towards those Ahri items. For SCSC, you do find a bow here despite being third pick. Really big for the Deja Vu player.
Also, good to note that Achen picking up that tier does give him a Sojin as well. So even without getting the second half of the Spellcaster's Toolbox, he's going to be able to make a third item on the Syndra, and then even late game remove the Ginsus, for instance, put it on something like the Cassiopeia, and play around a 3-item Syndra for the rest of his game. Great setup.
Definitely. I'm curious what Maris is cooking up there. The board didn't look very strong. We saw those comps. There's Tiniest Titan regaining some of that HP, but didn't have a lot of direction, it looked like.
This is a really scary setup from Kubiksen. Great for the Polish player, obviously, but looking at players who are open for loose streaking, you expect to stabilize in stage 4. When you add in these Exodia players who are hitting spikes that are much above the average in that stage 4, you can suddenly spike yourself, become very strong, but still have those losses that could put you down to 1 life late stage 4.
I think that's a really great point, and he is starting to run into some of these players, like we're seeing at the very bottom there, 62nd with that What the Forge has suddenly gotten a lot of access to power. Does not run into him just yet, but could be on the menu in future games. And even this fight looks like it's going to be
Zillion.
very close and turn out to probably be a loss for Kubiksen here.
Wow, I just want to say Hanxing has Ahri2, Zoe 2, Poppy 2, the whole board upgraded level 7 and nearly lost that streak. You'd see Hanxing when level 7 to try and defend that streak. And that, I think that's a great example of how sometimes TFT is a game of inches. Hanxing being able to use the additional economy he's built up to this point in time, go for the fast level 7, probably rolled for a charm as well to defend the streak. Heads up play by Hanxing.
Yeah, this is kind of, the game's almost playing itself here for Hanxing a little bit, even getting the Radiant, or excuse me, the
Randuins.
Oh, the Randuins, yeah, for this positioning. He's already kind of positioning like that for the entirety of the early game, and now with the Randuins going to be just giving so much of that front line more power with all them being upgraded.
And I think it contrasts perfectly with Darkest this game that we saw in the game 3. That Rise board where you're desperately rolling for the Rise upgrade, you don't really have that cap potential. This is the complete opposite. This comp, when it gets online, it will be incredibly hard to beat because this leads into one of the hardest or one of the highest caps in the game right now. Level 7, 50 gold, 10 win streak.
I mean, this is a
Crazy.
good spot.
Almost a guaranteed top
Yeah.
2 at this point.
You could even go fast 9 in this situation,
Yeah.
right? There's very few situations you can fast 9, but this might actually be one of them.
Whoa.
Yeah, well, this is what the Forge, this is exactly what you expect when you see what the Forge, like there's something crazy here. Olaf 2 kind of came out of nowhere. Sure, there has been some rolling down on level 8 already that's happened, but...
This could find stability, though. We're seeing a Diana,
Yeah.
we're seeing a Briar, we're seeing the chance for high roll potential with the artifact combination, with these early 5 costs, the chance for 7 Frost as well.
Yeah.
So the Olaf wasn't there from the start. That was recently found. That's why you're seeing that win streak there. And I expected to continue onward, but you were talking about Maris earlier on, and we're going to get a look at this board right now.
Yeah, I was curious what direction this would go, and it is Witchcraft, right? And Rise does fit well into Witchcraft, but usually with the emblem
Briar.
on him as well, Briar is a
Close to
big
the upgrades, there it is.
Rise 2, wow.
Want to move out the Jace
Great
here,
rolls.
swap over the B2 to Fiora, and all in all, with the Fiora 2 upgrade especially, could see a stable board here for stage 4.
Yeah, not rolling any further there. Says Rise 2 is probably good enough. Already have him rel in the Rise though, so can't quite slam many good items. Doesn't want to do red buffs. Gonna reforge the bow actually, and it is a sword. Could see. Oh, it's actually a Sterix. It's gonna be on that Fiora now.
Yeah, honestly, I'm actually a little surprised we're playing
Yeah,
the
naturally gets slammed.
TG Gwen over the Briar here. I'm not sure. I don't think it makes a difference in this fight. I imagine, though, that having that Briar over the Gwen is going to be a little bit more value at a little more CC. But yeah, I think it really does come down to mainly when we can get this Fiora 2. The Fiora 2 is going to be carrying a lot of those fights.
I think right now there was a lot to do in very little amount of time, so maybe some stuff falling out the back end here, but we are going to be going into our third augments, and it will be gold coming on through last. What's in those orbs?
I want to call out, the thing I love about this turn is the insta-pick. Oftentimes, players in TFT kind of go back and forth, oh, is this good enough? Oh, is this a little bit better? What Mara says is, I need the resource that is most important in my game right now is time. I would rather insta-pick an augment that I think is good enough and give me a little bit more time to build the best board I can this turn.
And in some ways, I think the matchmaking was good there because you face the Exodia player, he's out of your pool. You can now break your loss streak, go into a win streak after you hit these upgrades, and maybe now start thinking, hey, I'm playing for a top 4. I have my upgrades now. I can maybe win the rest of this stage 4 and stabilize.
Yeah, that is all nice and great and dandy, but there is a player in this lobby that on the back of these augments here has yet found another upgrade that just seems too good to be true. Kubixen, on the opposite side of this board, has found yet another Arcana Crest.
Oh my god.
The damage jam going to be absolutely insane. The internal synergy with the portal, of course, with the Wandering Trainers. And we're seeing now STSC and his Galio not really being able to fight off against these multi-strikers.
So I think what we forgot to tell Kubi is that he shouldn't use all of his luck in one game. 'Cause this is looking to me like from here on out, we might be
Big roll down. You have
having
to
some
maybe
bad luck.
give up on the Ash or the Jack. I think it'll
Nope.
be it'll be on the Jacks there. Can roll a little bit deeper. 2 off Cassidin, 2 off Hecarim, which is not really a unit you can usually go for. The Hecarim 3 angle is the high roll multi-strikers that you can only find maybe 1 out of 20 games, but maybe he's just going for absolutely every high roll he has at his disposal here.
Yeah, and usually that does cap out when Hecarim is going to have items. There's not really potential for that just because other 2 items already on the Ash, and they provide great utility, but Hecarim not really going to do as much even if he is 3-starred.
Yeah, I almost wonder if I don't want to say the Hecarim is a bait because there's a lot of caps to be had there, but I do kind of feel like this comp is going to be able to come online fully when you can get the vertical Arcana on, right? And so having the additional econ to find your 3 stars now arguably could be more valuable.
Is Kubi playing for a top 4 though, or is Kubi playing for a win, where you have a setup with this Arcana emblem, with maybe the chance for 9 multis? You are trying to not look at the immediate tempo, but instead, I'm going to spike on stage 6 as I get carousel items and fill out these items onto the Hecarim, for example.
I think an important point here is also that he's still rolling for that Cassidin regardless. So if there's just enough natural Hecarims coming on through,
Oh, there's one of the carousel.
one more. And you're going to be taking them, and that's exactly what he does. I also think in stage 4 there's still some extra time to get some items. While you may not be getting them right now, that Hecarim in like 10 more rounds could probably be itemized quite well.
Yeah, by the end of the game, and I'm definitely going to make it to the end of the game, right? Is very healthy in HP currently, so we will eventually see that Hecarim pop off.
Unfortunately for our Latam TFT fans, this is not looking good for Black Sheep. 22 HP, 4 loss streak, hasn't been able to stabilize off of the spike on that Poppy 3. I believe it slammed a Shojin rather on an Ahri instead of a blue buff. So really has not been fortunate. Despite finding that tier very early on from stage 2, trying to build towards the big picture of that blue buff, has not been able to find it.
Yeah, push levels here as well, right? Going that 6 Bastion, but not having really any backline threats as well to supplement this Poppy damage.
Yeah, and I mean, this is RE1 on the backline. Emilio is a really nice hit. Being able to hit 6 Bastion is great. And look at the wrap now, right? on the Poppy. This is kind of your only real chance. The hope for the other side here, if you are Maris, is that the Fiora Gwen kills everything apart from the Poppy and that they can heal back up. But no, enough damage comes through. I mean,
I love it.
Good fight for Black Sheep.
Hammer time, baby.
Is this a time where we start mentioning the fact that there's a 14 win streak coming through right now? Could become the mythical 15 win streak, unless, of course, I just cast Recursion and ruined it.
Everyone check your pick'ems. Anyone have a 100 streak for pick'ems? I certainly did. I already lost.
We had our first game on 1 HP 1. Wouldn't it be nice to have our game on 100 HP 1, as well?
If you pick that option, it would be very nice. Unfortunately, not the case for me, and I think for 95% of people.
An analyst diff, I would say.
Thousands of fans cheering at home for Hanxing right now who have picked the 100 HP win option.
Well, we'll see if he can do it, because he's up against the multi-strikers. Kassadin has been found, Ashe has been found, and Kubixen has found just round about every augment or emblem you would have wanted in this multi-striker comp. The Rice is not fully online for Hanxing just yet, and the wrap is going to come in onto Terry instead of
the hero of the people.
But it will work out, and Hanxing has been dethroned for now.
Kubixen, the people's champ, saved so many pick'ems in one round. I think it's worth it actually to give Hanxing some credit. This is a player who came in through the JOC, and to be honest, I think oftentimes the JOC players are overlooked. But Hanxing is a player who has been a career JOC player, qualifying to the top 8 for 4 straight JOC regional finals. Incredibly impressive. If there's one player that is a JOC focused player that you can't count out, it's Hanxing. I think it's great to be able to see someone like him on top.
Definitely. Didn't go for that fast on either. It's saying, no, I just want to stabilize level 8, right? Rolled until hitting the units like that Targ to find a rise pair as well. But now we got to look towards the bottom of the standings, right? Black Sheep, of course, trying to stave off another 8th, but Maris as well actually went towards this interesting flex here. This 4 Scholar, 4 Warrior, 4 Witchcraft. Not synergies we see altogether like that specifically.
And it's interesting because both of the players that are currently on, well, somewhat of a chopping block are the players that found a Witchcraft emblem on their trainer golems here. Not really working in their favor, because usually when you want to run Witchcraft, you want 2 of those emblems. So really kind of a weird situation to be in. You want to make use of all of those emblems, and then you end up with something like you're calling out, Crowan, here, with the 4 Scholar, 4 Warrior, 4 Witchcraft.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple carries there. There's the Gwen 2, Fiora 2, Rise 2, all itemized. The problem is they're 4-cost units, though, and we don't really like those in this meta.
And you have to kind of recalibrate your expectations of what a strong board is in Stage 4, in this kind of portal especially. Yeah. Rolling under 10 here from his spot after already hitting most of his upgrades screams to me the situation it's a really hard situation to be in when he has a little HP or he knows he can't go 9.
Ooh,
he can't greet it.
Black Sheep went out here, lost the Deja Vu Galio, and I think chances at Black Sheep making it into a day 2 are looking very, very grim now with that 8th.
We saw players like Wajan Iverson in the America's Golden Spatula go 7th 4 times on day 1 and then go 1-1 to make it out. So you know, there's still a world where Black Sheep goes 1-1. You got 2 more games after this to bring it back. And listen, if there's ever a time to do it, this is it.
True, less harsh cut even, right? The ratio of players right from 40 to 32 is going to be a little bit more forgiving. There's still maybe a way.
Let's remember 60 seconds board on 4-1 and the comeback he's been able to achieve with this what the Forge, with the setup on the very early 5 toss, like the Diana, 2 Dianas now actually on the board, the Olaf there as well, splitting with a suspicious trench coat. All in all, this could become one of these boards that what the Forge enables as possibly a win con, possibly overperforming, and that's a huge elimination on Maris as well. 2 players now down.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy here, right? How you can cap out a board with the Forge, there's so many options. A lot of the time, at least in the Americas, we saw a lot of Gwen, a lot of Fiora with that trench coat, right, with the Zanyas, but Olaf is another great carrier, especially paired with the Prowler's Claw as well. As soon as he is able to split into 3, just dashes everywhere, so much damage there to take out all the rest of the units.
Checking in with Dank Memes, who's kind of next in line here. Very early on, locked himself into Hunters. I think that was the logical choice back on this Trainer Golem, but not able to find the front line that's needed to make this Jinx happen. Also didn't find that Olaf tool or items for it, so is currently item carrying that Kog'Maw. It's all a little bit weird and unfortunate in terms of what has come together here, so I'm not surprised to see Dank Memes losing, but of course it is quite unfortunate as you are rolling into some of these boards that are just so much stronger now.
Look at this Jinx, not going to get any takedowns at the start of this fight, really slowing it down. Not just that, but to add insult to injury, the Mordekaiser comes in. Suddenly, it's flipped over. The 1v1, Galio does win it in the end. The Deja Vu coming up clutch for STSC, and Dank Memes taken out.
Honestly, I think this entire game almost felt like bailout mode for Dank Memes. You could see he started with the slam in, despite having the Hunter. That says to me, he's actually angling more toward that Frost Emblem instead, or the trying to play a level 8 Hunter game instead. Not being able to find the 3-star Wukong as well, never finding Olaf too. Listen, 6th place, sometimes you're just playing for placements. That's what this game was.
Honestly, I'm so surprised that we have 2 players that respectively have streaked for very, very long in this lobby, while Kubikson is also playing this game. That's kind of strange to me, I will say.
Yeah, matchmaking, very fortunate for some players, very unfortunate for others.
Also important to note, Kubikson, I saw, was able to get the Xerath on his board as well, so going even further up that Arcana tree means that Kubikson is going to have so much damage amp on this board.
Donna had Justice as well for the Hecarim, so now slowly building towards that tertiary carry with Hecarim 3.
Option. Very close to some big upgrades here.
I'm between 60 Seconds board, who's running the What the Forge, and Kubikson's. Where would you kind of draw the power line? What does 60 Second need to take down the multi-strikers?
Well, I think actually, in my mind, the pieces are kind of already there. He has this Prowler's Claw Olaf, which is really good at killing the weak units on your board, but then on top of the Prowlers, he has the Zanyas. And what's better at taking out multi-strikers than...
Clears Syndra there. Does this buy enough time for the Zanya's Cascade to slow tip away?
But we're actually seeing right there, that is the argument for someone who, like the 60 Second, who has the Zanyas on the Olaf, right? We saw there, when the Zanyas procs, your multi-strikers don't have any room to ramp up, aren't able to get that additional damage out. I think 60 Second actually has a reasonable matchup into something like Kubikson.
Yeah, especially with the Caston as well. Caston's going to walk away, right, when the Zanya's actually proc, so it just buys so much more time, and Olaf's going to be doing so much damage during it.
R2 or 1 copy off of that Briar 2 upgrade, which could be coming in onto the Diana instead.
Yeah.
Do you ever put these Olaf items on Briar 2, or you think the 7 Frost is too valuable? It feels actually like a pretty tricky spot.
7 Frost probably too valuable.
You got your answer.
Oh, there you go. Never mind.
Yeah.
It's actually a very
like,
easy
worry,
spot,
buddy,
apparently.
I got you.
Yeah, thank you.
I just want to explain the 6 Second did it for me. Thank you very much. takes the burden off me.
Yeah, and the field is closing in as 2 more players not necessarily fighting for survival just yet. I think they can both still tank 1 more hit, but it is going to come down to the wire, and this is the area where charms come back into play. It's going to matter what you get, it's going to matter how you get out of it, and there is an elimination on the line, unfortunately taken out there. I think it's Achin.
Oh, it turns out Syndra is out despite a great setup with that Shapeshifter plus Incanter Trainer Golem.
Yeah, it was a little bit late setting up, though, because Achin was open forting in stage 2, so picked up a Syndra a little bit late, did come back with some, you know, great play, great augments, right, to try to stack those Syndras up, but yeah, 5th place, unfortunately.
Yeah, I will say it's quite dangerous sometimes when you are open forting and then suddenly see that prismatic augment on 3-2. That's exactly what happens. Sometimes the other people, someone hits Exodia and you don't have the HP to leverage like some other players might.
And STSC has to be grateful and thankful to be in this top 4, considering what the other boards look like. The Galio worked out in the end. Maybe the biggest surprise when we saw that board at stage 3. Did find the big grab back to guarantee the great items onto that Galio in the end.
Not just a grab bag, but also that Masterwork upgrade that Crone was calling out earlier to really make sure that Galio was able to get some extra
What are these AP
power.
items? Hello? We need some Hecarim items, please. Kubi's is like, wait, is this where my high rolls finally end?
Hey, I think 9 multi-striker is high roll enough, right? It's so very rarely seen it reach this peak. Talking about win conditions of comps, right? 9 multi-striker is a way to make it there.
We'll see how it shakes out and who's going
60
to
seconds
meet.
versus Kubikson.
And that is a fight we were talking about for just some time. Let's take a look here from the side of 60 seconds.
Take a look at the Olafs. Really what's important to see what happens once they break apart. Are they able to take out the Kassadin? But no, look at the damage.
Oh.
The healing on the Kassadin
That's
ramps
good.
up so fast, and then you have the Ashe. If you can't kill the Ashe, the Kassadin will get you instead. There's too many threats on this board.
Kassadin did a whole lap around all the Olafs and still found time to kill them all afterwards. But I think, yeah, maybe before the 9 multi-striker it would have been a little bit closer, but after the 9, it's like the compositions just do not match up entirely.
Han Xing taking out SDSD will be a 4th place for APAC. I think we take those. You're happy with this right now, as eliminations will be later in the day. But Han Xing still has a lot of health to work with, is on level 9 as well, and could even go further and beyond for all we know.
The stall with a charm here as well, trying to hide information. Han Xing trying to get, again, I think looking at the win condition, going to save it actually. I
Wow.
think he's strong enough. Looking at the win condition, in stage 4, we saw both Kubi and Han Xing say, hey, I'm playing for the win here. I'm setting up my game plan to not spike early to try and actually play for the highest possible cap. Looking at that stage 6, stage 7 maybe even.
Question here is, can Han Xing take this fight over the Olaf? I mean, Han Xing's got room to grow and has
All the
HP
Zonias.
to sacrifice as well, so he actually wants to play this game a little bit more slowly, and I think he recognizes how high Kubikson's cap is. The only way that Han Xing can take this game is to find, a crazy high cap of his own.
Uses the HP as a buffer to try and make it to 10.
Yeah, so how can I go higher? I see your cap is so high, but I want to get one step further.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're looking for. We're going to get one more carousel, but somebody that might not make it there is 60 seconds, sitting on single digits HP, and both of these other players looking very strong will probably roll into Kubikson once again.
Was that the Conjure support item charm? That's what that was, right? That's why he got a support item just on 6-3. I mean, if you're Kubikson, there is nothing better you'd like to see.
Yep.
This is a comp that you can afford to stay on level 8 and still win out by getting powerful charms.
What's the Zillion here? If he can do anything, but he's now focusing on the right side of the unit to Kassadin, completely untouched, not stunned, going to be able to clean up here. We're seeing a bit of a pause on the fight, but I think it should be enough where Kassadin is basically one-shotting these Olafs.
And that's it. 60 seconds is in 3rd place, and it's going to be between Han Xing and Kubikson, who can actually take it back. A couple of emblems in this carousel. Not going to go for it. Both of these players picking up items instead. And this is where Han Xing will try to make something happen with the excess gold.
He picks up some anti-heal. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't realize he didn't have anti-heal in that last fight. That's definitely going to help in this matchup.
No third item
Level
for
to
the
10
Hecarim.
has come in. Is it good enough?
This is a big game for Kubikson. 11 points after these first 3 games in this tournament. Needed to find a way to really boost himself up in the standings. A player who we saw finish 15th in last set's global championship. Wants to better that result. Wants to ideally make that top 8 as one of the young rising stars in EMEA right now.
This is a fight to do. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we see this one drag out a little bit as Han Xing uses that HP as a buffer. Actually, no, I didn't realize he did go level 10, is
The
0
top 10.
gold now.
Buying time, but not really hitting the key units there.
We can see the Kassadin in the front line does fall, though. You got a lot more threats on this board, but there is a lot of damage. The Rise is stunned, though. The CC is going to make a huge difference in that fight.
Level 10 was nearly enough to kind of bridge that power gap, but not quite here. One more round to go, but Han Xing still could hang on. This game is especially impressive from Han Xing because they're kind of known in China as a really good reroll player, and that's why they're kind of favored. But even being able to play a fast 10 composition, right, a 6 Scholar kind of board, and had to go into it because of the trainer golems is so impressive.
Triple
Yeah.
PG here.
It's really, really rare we see level 10 at all. And the fact that we see it and it's still losing is mind-boggling. I just want to say, last second there, make sure to sell that Milio says, I want that charm in either way. Need to make sure I have every possible power I could get access to. We are going to be seeing yet one more fight between the two of them. I don't think the story's written just yet.
Kubikson hand to his forehead, understanding it doesn't have slots for the TGs. 2 TGs on the bench, unfortunately.
Wait a second.
Is it still enough to win here? Can he really smurf this
Watch
hard?
his cast.
With the 9 multis.
Oh.
Not quite enough, but still has time for at least one more round, maybe with a better
His
charm.
head shakes. He's like, what was I
He
thinking?
checked all 3 TGs. He's like, okay. He places one. He's like, wait a minute.
Oh, 8 win streak comes to an end for Kubikson, but a little bit of moment of reprieve here going into stage 7.
Key things to watch for Hanqing are going to be what the Ornn artifacts are that the Tahm Kench rolls, and then on top of that, what charm they can actually get. Also important to note, doesn't actually have a third item on the Taric, but instead is typically getting that from the Melio. So actually, I imagine he'll probably be prioritizing a Xerath item this round. You know, there's a couple different ways to go about it.
More importantly, the third item for Hecarim, finally.
Wow,
Hey, we've
there it is.
gotten here.
Hey, you were right. You were
And
right.
I did say my pick'ems was 7-1 would be the
He
longest
got an
game.
artifact, Anvil.
Oh my gosh. What are you going? I mean, is it Talisman?
Wait, what are these AP artifacts again?
No, we got Zhonya's. We got
Zhonya's
Zhonya's.
inner mover
Okay,
for the
okay,
castle.
okay, I
Oh
like
my
it.
So
goodness.
good. Get that Nashers out of there. It's done its job, but no
Right,
longer.
Okay, this
Hanqing's
feels
still choosing.
Yeah.
Goes for the
bloodthirsty.
BT.
Yeah, on the Morgana, just a little bit of survivability there. Not bad, but not as good as some of the picks up here for Kubikson.
Well, a battle of greatness seems to come to an end between the two of them, Kubikson and Hanqing. They've been fighting it out for the longest time, but this will probably
wait a
be
second.
the ending
Wow.
factor.
Wait a
And the
second.
multi-strikers are just getting absolutely
Get him!
Wait a second.
annihilated.
Wait a second.
Accident can't do it.
Here we go. Last gas comes through.
That's gonna be it.
It's a Nasher
Wow.
stiff. Nasher is greater than Zhonya's. Confirmed on live TV.
I'm not sure that's the analysis we're looking for. Game.